Welcome to Off the Cuff, episode 18, where we answer your questions about LEGO. Please leave a comment below with your question for next month because we really love answering your questions. Today we've got several topics. We're going to be talking about Minifigure Series, Modulars, GWPs, and ships.
Cool.
All right, so our first question. How does the Blacktron compare to the Galaxy Explorer? With display, but especially with build.
So when it comes to build, I was actually kind of critical about the Blacktron Renegade because it wasn't as advanced of a build as the Galaxy Explorer. In fact, I built the Galaxy Explorer over about a month ago and really loved it. And we bought the set when it came out. We got it like 25% off at Walmart, which is a really good deal. I just didn't get around to building it until recently. And compared to this one, I think the Galaxy Explorer is an incredible build. In fact, I think the Galaxy Explorer is one of the best builds I've had over the last like 3-4 years of doing this channel. So yeah, it is. And the rest of the family was pretty skeptical when it came to the Galaxy Explorer.
But it's got so many cool little features and playability.
Yeah, she saw. We actually had a friend over who wasn't LEGO, especially Space LEGO, when he was a kid back in the late 70s and 80s. And he was blown away by that. He loved it. And he was like, oh my gosh, he's looking up how he could buy it on Amazon versus Bricklink and the shipping prices and all that fun stuff. So he just saw all the little details of that compared to this one. And he had, by the way, he had like the Blacktron fort and some other Blacktron sets. So it's not like he, was predisposed to liking the Galaxy Explorer more than Blacktron. He saw this, he's like, that's cool. Then he saw that, and he's like, whoa. And so I think that's kind of the reality between the two sets. Now, I did do a huge video comparing these that dropped just before this one is getting posted. So make sure you check that one out.
Yeah, so the commenter here was saying they'd had some disappointing builds recently, and so they weren't sure they wanted to go with the Blacktron if that was going to be another disappointment after having loved building the Galaxy Explorer.
Yeah, I'm going to say, like, you probably will be disappointed in the build of this one then. A lot of it comes down to just the snot techniques and the amount of it. There is some snot techniques, or there are some snot techniques used in this set, particularly with these support pieces here. You've got a little bit back at the back of the cockpit with the lights, and in the back of the wings here. There are a couple elements here and there where you see that, but not to the same degree and not as creatively as the Galaxy Explorer. Again, I don't want to say that the build is the be-all, end-all for the Blacktron Renegade. I think it looks fantastic. It's a pretty cool set overall. But in terms of the build experience, comparing the two, hands down, Galaxy Explorer.
All right. For our next question, we're turning to the Tudor Corner. I don't know if you're going to know this one, but they want to know a why question. So apparently, I'm not the expert here, you are.
Oh.
But apparently there is a trapdoor in the closet under the stairs where the vacuum is. And she's wondering why there's a trapdoor there.
So there is a door there because when LEGO designs modular building, they actually want to make sure that you can add middle floors to it. And that's the whole idea. If you go back to the very first modular building, the Cafe Corner, on the back of the box, they actually have a picture of like multiple Cafe Corners stacked. And really, it's just the middle floors that they replicate. So you've got the bottom floor, one of the top floor, and then like 4, 5, 6 of the middle floors. If you want to do the same thing with the Tudor Corner, you have to have some ability to access the second and third and subsequent flooring. So on the back, I'll just kind of turn this around right here, you've got the stairs that lead up to the second level. You only need one of those. But inside the second level, you have a staircase that would like bring you to where that trap door is if you replicated the second floor. So for the floor that currently exists here, it's just a door that you can lift and they put stuff on top of it. For subsequent floors, you would actually need that and maybe even remove that to be able to access those floors via the stairs. So that's why they actually have that there. It's all about the modularity components of setting up multiple floors if you want to increase the height of the Tudor Corner.
Wow, I had no idea that LEGO would take into consideration the future modifications people would make.
Yeah, and this is really interesting when you think about how themes, how sets, how things that have a continuous run are designed. You actually have to think about the original intent, and sometimes you get rid of it. Like, for instance, with the modular buildings, the original intent was you'd only have smileys, because that you go all the way up through. I think it was the assembly square was the first time you got like non-smiley faces or things like that. Also, they used to not have jumper plates on the sidewalks, and again with the assembly square, they added those to it because it just makes it so much easier to pose your minifigs and have a place for them to stand. So they've made some changes, but one of the things they have not compromised on is the modularity components of it, meaning the ability to place the buildings next to one another without having the sides overhang the base plate, having the Technic bricks where you can connect them to other sets, and then in a sneakier way that most people don't think about, because most people aren't getting multiple middle floors, having a way to increase the height of the building that way.
That's cool. Okay, Minifig Series.
Ooh, yeah.
Is the Wolfpack Beastmaster the figure people will be poaching from Series 27?
Yes. Yes, and 100 times yes. I mean, this really is, from what I've seen, I went up to the LEGO store on day one, and there was high demand for the Wolfpack Beastmaster. There was also quite a bit of demand for some of the other ones. But one thing I can tell you from watching some other videos, as well as like Pop's Block Shop, he's a Bricklink store up in the Upper Peninsula, that it really is the high demand one. If you can get any Wolfpack Beastmasters and you want to sell them, they will be gobbled up really quickly. And people are going on Wolfpack Beastmaster hunts at different stores, taking their phones, scanning the barcodes to see what's in there. And so it definitely is the in-demand minifig. And I think there are a couple of reasons for it. Number one is obviously it's Castle, Medieval, and Wolfpack, which is kind of a cool thing. But when you look at that minifig and the accessories compared to the typical CMF series, there's just more to it. Not only do you get the minifig, which everyone is, but then you get not just one accessory, you get three. You get a sword, a shield, and a wolf.
Oh, yeah.
And LEGO hasn't given us wolves before, so
It's pretty amazing to get it with the minifig.
Yeah, so even if you're not a Castle fan and you just like LEGO animals, you're going to be going for the Wolfpack Beastmaster. And if you want to, maybe even get the wolf just by itself, if somebody's parted it out on Bricklink.
Okay, so are there any other winners in Series 27?
I mean, I think a lot of it depends on what you prefer in minifigs and things like that. I will say that there were a couple that stood out to us. Obviously, we did a review of the plush toy collector, which has Lego Squishmallows, and that's going to be a different audience than people like me who love Castle, Medieval, and those kinds of things. But that one, it's a new kind of accessory. It comes with two of them, so I think that's one. But I also noticed, at least at our LEGO store day one, the steampunk minifig. That one actually had quite a bit of demand for it. There were multiple people as we were all huddled around. They had one bin, and they just kept emptying boxes of collectible minifigs in there. And so we're all just kind of huddled around there looking for it. And of course, number one was the Wolfpack Beastmaster, but a lot of other people there wanted the plush toy collector and the steampunk.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
So kind of going back to the Beastmaster, can you compare the Series 16 Rogue?
Not very well. I don't have that one, and I'm actually pretty new to the CMF series. Like, I've paid attention to them. I've purchased a couple throughout the years. But in terms of actively going on day one to try to find a collectible minifigure and getting a couple of copies of that, it's not something that I've done before now, and I'm like a new convert to the CMF series. So I don't have a whole lot of ability to compare that one, unfortunately.
So it's a really cool looking minifig. It has like a little Wolfpack pin printed on it with like a scarf, but it looks almost like a Forestman minifig with a green and a green hood and like a bow and arrow.
Yeah, I do recall seeing that one now. I did not get it, unfortunately. Like, there were a couple of Castle or Medieval themed CMFs that I did not get that I wish I did. Number one being that one. Number two being they had like a Raven Knight that came out a couple of, I think, 24, 25 series, 24, 25, that I wish I would have gotten. And then they had a Forestman way back in the day. So this was before like LEGO got back into giving us some Forestman sets or gifts with purchase, or including Forestman minifigs in sets like the Lion Castle. So they've had a couple of those over the years. They had a Troubadour, which that torso was used for some of the Lion Castle minifigs. So they've done a nice job of giving us some of these. What I'm really excited for is that we are going to be getting more Wolfpack minifigs in one of the Bricklink Bricklink Designer Program sets coming up later this year.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Okay, transitioning. The Malfoy Manor. Do you think that it could become a 16 by 32 base plate modular?
Yeah, I do. I think anytime Lego gives you a pretty big structure, there is a possibility of modularizing it. In fact, I even saw, I think it was Cheesy Studios, who's one of the former Brickmasters competitors here in the United States, who converted one of the Chinese Lunar New Year sets this year that wasn't a building into a modular building. So there's a lot of possibilities out there. I think the Malfoy Manor is a distinct possibility because it does have a lot of really interesting details on the outside. The problem with it, right, and this is one of the big things that I have with modularizing a building, is the cost associated with it. You can take the front and the facade is fantastic, and you can make a pretty big modular style building out of it. But if you're going to make it truly modular compatible, meaning that you've got, the Technic pins that we talked about earlier, the sidewalk space, and you've got in a fully enclosed building, you're gonna have to add a lot to it. And it's gonna be really expensive. And it's one of those where I wouldn't say you wanna get 2 copies of Malfoy Manor. You're gonna get Malfoy Manor, and then you're gonna need to develop all the walls around it. And even if you don't make it really deep, you're talking about probably 14 studs deep at the minimum in order to make it fully enclosed and to be modular compatible. You might be able to get away with having some stuff in the front, like statues or whatnot, on where those Technic pins are, but you're looking at really 10 to 14 studs of depth. You're going to be adding most of that with your own bricks. So it really is expensive. You can do it if you want to make that investment. I think it would look cool, but as I'm viewing sets to potentially modularize, cost is a big part of that. And it's one that I don't feel comfortable taking the plunge on.
Oh, so it probably depends on if you have a lot of bricks already in your collection to use that would work.
Yeah, a lot of bricks. And one thing that's fun about modularizing buildings is you don't have to do the fully fledged interiors. You don't have to worry about making sure that if you have multiple levels in it, that it's modular. Like if you really want to be that technical with it, fine. But it's your custom modularization of a building. So don't worry about all of those things, as long as it, satisfies the basic requirements of a modular building.
Yeah. Prioritize what you want to.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Exactly.
Last month, we were talking about the resale value of GWPs, gift with purchases.
Right.
So someone has a comment on this. It's a little bit of a long comment, so I'm just going to read it. I'm curious if there's a reason why you expect the Tudor GWP to hover around $20 to $25. I sold my Endurance GWP for $95 2 days after it came out. I think GWPs that are exclusive to specific sets always fetch more than GWPs that are given out to any purchase over X amount. Was there something special about the Endurance GWP? Did LEGO produce significantly less of those GWPs than the Endurance GWP?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, I want to acknowledge that person could be right, and that the corner kiosk doesn't drop into that $20 to $25 range. I think there are a couple things that are different about the Endurance gift with purchase. First of all, it does come with an exclusive minifig. And the one thing we've seen, whether it's the Fell Beast, whether it's some of the Star Wars GWPs, or anything else, anything with an exclusive minifig is going to fetch a higher price because people love minifigs and will pay a premium for those minifigs, especially if there's some sort of component that makes it worthwhile. And so that's certainly the case with the Endurance gift with purchase. The second thing that makes it different is the scale to which they produce the set. Like, not as many people are buying the Endurance as the Tudor Corner. Like, there are just going to be more people on day one in the first week buying the Tudor Corner than there was for the Endurance. Because the modular line is something that is every single year that people have been collecting for a long time. There is huge demand. Even though not everybody going to the LEGO store on January 1st was looking for the Tudor Corner, a lot of people were, and having conversations with people online over the years, modular. So that's a big part of it. So there's going to be more copies of the corner kiosk available than for the Endurance gift with purchase. And then again, yes, there's 2 minifigs with the corner kiosk as opposed to 1 with the Endurance, but the minifigs from the corner kiosk are not really all that exclusive. You can put them together from a variety of other minifigs that have come out over the years. I think another component to it is the Endurance you have to purchase goes directly with the Endurance. It can be part of the set, right? It's basically the little boat that goes along with it. And so if you have the Endurance and you really want to complete things, you can. The corner kiosk does not complete the Tudor Corner. In fact, the corner kiosk doesn't even fit on the Tudor Corner as it currently is constructed. Like if you try to put it in the corner, it leaves almost no room for people to walk through. And so it really fits better on its own, or if you have an expanded sidewalk or something like that. So I think that demand for the corner kiosk will be a little bit lower. So you have more supply, maybe a little bit less demand in terms of relative speaking. And so I think that's why I expect the price to drop to around that $20 to $25. Now, again, I could be wrong with that. Like there could be just more demand. It could take longer for that price to drop to that $20, $25 mark. But I don't think it's going to be one of those that you're selling for, $60, $70, $80, $90 at any point at this point.
Mm-hmm. All right, last question. Josh Greathouse says, I feel like ships are easy since LEGO doesn't have to commit. I can easily see one a year for a while, especially different factions. Come on, Ice Planet. So what do you think? Do you think we'll be getting any ships in the near future?
Well, I think there is a possibility that we might get another one in 2026. When you think about space. Now I'm going to transition maybe over to pirates in just a little bit because you mentioned ships and kind of reminded me of something. But in terms of classic space, LEGO's going to be rolling these out. They've got a lot of material to work with over the next couple of years. When you think about the window for nostalgia, right now we're in that 80s to early 90s era. And there are a lot of aspects that they have not really delved too deeply in. So for instance, LEGO has not produced an ice planet. That's definitely a possibility. LEGO also hasn't done any of the classic space, like fortresses or whatever, like the, I'm trying to think, spaceports or things like that. Another thing, you go to Castle or Pirates, like there hasn't been a lot of remakes of those ships in a while. We had the Pirates of Barracuda Bay, which remade the Black Sea Barracuda. That came out 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It's been that long. They did have, of course, the El Dorado Fortress back in 2023, which is a great set. It does remake the little boat from the Imperial Trading Outpost from the 1990s, but there's some possibilities there, like the Caribbean Clipper, the Skull's Eye Schooner. There's some other really cool ships for that. And then, of course, you get into the 90s, like later 90s, and there were other space themes. At some point, you're going to get to the point where people from the 2000s are going to be nostalgic, and you might do some Mars, some of the Mars expedition, Mars planet stuff. So I think there's a long road of getting some of these remakes when it comes to spaceships and possibly pirate ships. And I did hear rumors that we are going to get a Black Pearl this year. Now it's been a while since LEGO's given us a Black Pearl. And the old Black Pearl was definitely in the mode of classic LEGO pirate ships, where they have the prefab hulls, and it's got some cool details. Definitely a pricey set when it came out, but not the level of detail that you would want from anything Pirates of Barracuda Bay onward, where you're expecting to get a lot of the brick-built components to it. A larger ship that is just fully decked out. So this one is going to be, I think, an 18 plus icon style ship. It's going to be massive. It wouldn't shock me if it's $300, $350 because ships are going to have a lot of sails. A lot of pieces go into the masting. And if you do have even just some brick prefab hulls for the base of the ship, those command a lot of money because they are big pieces. So wouldn't shock me if we got like a pretty expensive Black Pearl, which would be pretty sweet with all new minifigs, because it's been a while since that. So I know you're a Pirates of the Caribbean fan, so
like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, new Sparrow. Like you figure Will Turner's going to be in there. There's going to be some really cool minifigs in that one. So I think that's one. Going back to the gifted purchase question, it wouldn't shock me if they had a gifted purchase with that. That might have an exclusive minifig that would command a very, very high price point. One other thing as it relates to ships, I know we are rumored to be getting Star Trek in November. Again, rumors, and there's also a rumor that there is going to be a gift with purchase with an exclusive minifig. So that one I think would command a lot of money.
Has Lego done Star Trek before?
Never. So
Wow.
This will be the first Lego Star Trek set, and I think a lot of fans are excited about that. Lego has really a great opportunity. If they execute this well, it would fly off the shelves. And I think Lego's always kind of looking for opportunities to get some of those one-off icon style sets to see how they do, to maybe release later ones like they did with Lord of the Rings, but also to kind of bring in, new fan base or expand that fan base among people with high amounts of disposable income. So people that grew up in the 1980s and 1990s, it's all for you.
All right, that wraps up all our questions this time. Again, please leave that question below for us so we can answer it next month. Remember to like this video, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and always remember to keep building together. Yeah, that'll be fun.
For sure.